No Yorks, no Sussexes. King Charles announced only working royals invited to coronation. Greetings and a gracious welcome to the World of Royal Staffs channel. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am here to share with you some exciting news about the upcoming coronation procession for King Charles at Westminster Abbey. According to sources, all three of the Prince of Wales's children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, are expected to take part in the procession alongside their grandfather and the Queen. But let's be real, who cares about those kids? The real question is, how will the UK celebrate King Charles's coronation? Well, it looks like the procession back to Buckingham Palace will be about a third of the size it was for Queen Elizabeth's coronation in 1953. Not very impressive, is it? Anyway, as we were saying, Prince George, being second in line to the throne, has long been expected to attend the coronation, and there has been speculation that he will have a role to play. But who really cares? The real shocker is that it has not been known until now whether Charlotte would be there, let alone Louis, who turns 5 on April 23. Charlotte's 8th birthday is 4 days before the coronation. Wow! Talk about last-minute planning. Now, if we go back in time to when Elizabeth was crowned in 1953, Prince Charles, then 4, attended only part of the 3-hour service, sitting between the Queen Mother and Princess Margaret. He did not take part in any of the processions. How boring. Fast forward to the late Queen's funeral, and George and Charlotte both took part, joining other members of the royal family for the procession into the Abbey. Afterwards, they were driven to Wellington Arch to see the coffin transferred from the gun carriage to the royal hearse for the journey to Windsor. However, Louis was considered too young to participate. Sad. But this time, all 3 siblings are expected to be on public display, according to coronation rehearsal plans. Although the children's presence has not been confirmed by Kensington Palace, documents show that after processing out of the Abbey, they are expected to join their parents in a carriage behind the King and Queen, who will be in the gold state coach. Oh, and let's not forget that hilarious moment when Harry was sticking his tongue out at his mama and giving faces during the procession. She's such a class act and handled him with such mama sweetness while being cognizant of the fact that the cameras are always on them. But enough about them, let's focus on the Wales for the win. As the Jubilee parade was in full swing, he was being quite the naughty child. You know the type, high on sugar and up to no good. It's funny how some kids can be such little shits, even the best parents can struggle with it. But that's not the case with the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. Catherine manages her children so well. She takes it all in her stride, correcting them without shaming them. It's really admirable. Despite their imperfections, WC do an excellent job. However, things are not as rosy for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. According to the Sunday Telegraph, their children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, are not currently invited to the coronation. As expected, neither Harry nor Meghan, nor the Duke of York, will take part in the procession. The procession is confined to working members of the royal family, which means that Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie will not be in it either. The irony is palpable. For years, Sperry has built Harry's entire personality around being forced to walk in a state event. Now that he actually wants to, he can't. It's quite beautiful, really. The interesting part that the eco-warrior wants to fly in a private jet to a country he clearly hates and walk in a state event inextricably connected to the country's institution that he's repeatedly called racist. It makes you wonder if this racist, slur-dropping posse knows the difference between regular walking and goose-stepping. Moreover, Harry has a history of struggling with crowds, flashing lights, and London in general, which is why it's surprising that he would even consider attending. At least he wasn't dumb enough to endanger everyone in attendance by publicly dropping his kill count for cheap outrage clicks. Oh, wait. Apart from the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children, the only other royals in the procession out of the Abbey will be the Princess Royal and her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence, the new Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, and the Duke of Kent and his sister Princess Alexandra. It's hard not to think that if Harry and Meghan had been more loving family members, things could have turned out differently. Charles isn't perfect, but neither are they. If they had left royal duties with honor, came back for visits, and let Charles know about his grandkids, maybe circumstances would have been different. Nothing stopped them from leaving, but they chose to go scorched earth instead. It's hard not to see them as extremely short-sighted. As the UK prepares for the coronation of King Charles III, rehearsal plans have been leaked to the press, revealing the details of the grand procession that will take place. The regalia, including the St. Edward's crown, the orb, the sceptre with cross, St. Edward's staff and the swords of mercy, spiritual justice and temporal justice, will be carried into the abbey, but it is still unknown who will have the honour of carrying them. While Buckingham Palace has promised a «spectacular» carriage procession following the coronation, it will be significantly smaller and cover a shorter route than the procession after Queen Elizabeth II's coronation. Hugo Vickers, author of the book Coronation: The Crowning of Elizabeth II, has just released an updated edition and stated that the king asked for it to be more modest. This is a greatly pared-down procession. The 1953 coronation procession, which covered a 5-mile route from the Abbey to Buckingham Palace and included Regent Street, Oxford Street, and Park Lane, was an extravagant affair. The procession consisted of 12,000 military personnel and took 45 minutes to pass each spot. In contrast, the King's coronation procession will take a shorter, undisclosed route back to the palace, involving an estimated 4,000 military personnel. The sovereign's escort, the traditional military term for the escorts accompanying the monarch, is expected to be found by the Lifeguards, the most senior regiment of the British Army. The procession will be led by the Gold State Coach, built in 1762 and used in every coronation since 1821. Representatives from the armed forces of the King's other realms, now numbering 14 outside the UK after the departure of Barbados, will flank the coach. However, it appears that the number of troops from around the Commonwealth will be far fewer than in 1953. The presence of overseas troops added to the scale and magnificence of the occasion, but also contributed to the expense. It has been described as Britain's last imperial hurrah, as it marks the end of an era. As for Harry and Meghan, the couple has been notably absent from the preparations for the coronation. Perhaps they are too busy basking in their own self-importance to take notice of such grandiose events. This year's procession promises to be a far cry from the grandeur of Queen Elizabeth's coronation in 1953. Instead of 10 Commonwealth Prime Ministers, there will be only representative detachments of realm and Commonwealth forces, their flags waving in the breeze. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police will make an appearance, but no foreign leaders will take part in the procession. Only 3 carriages carrying members of the royal family will follow the sovereign's escort, a far cry from the 10 carriages that graced the streets in 1953. The procession will feature 10 bands instead of the 24 that played in the previous coronation. The downsizing of the event is apparent in every detail, from the number of bands to the absence of foreign leaders in open-top carriages. Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace remained tight-lipped about the event, declining to comment. It's a far cry from the excitement that surrounded the previous coronation, leaving many to wonder if this will be a coronation at all, or just a shadow of its former self. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more great content, and we will see you later.